So I've been talking with a lot of you guys on Facebook and social media, and you guys have been telling me that you're getting your first road bike. You're super excited, and the weather's going to be getting really nice soon. So I wanted to make this video on some of the essential items that you're going to need to get you and keep you having fun out on the road. So you just got your bike from the shop. Before you do anything else, do not walk out of that shop if you don't have a helmet. Definitely invest in a helmet. Safety first. I've seen some pretty bad crashes. You don't want to be on the bad side of them. Keep your head protected. It's very important. Plus, they just make your overall kit look a lot better. And there's really a lot of helmets out there. You guys can get ones with holes in them that are vented and just keep you cool all day long. There's more aerodynamic ones, so they're not going to have as many vents, but they're going to be a lot sleeker and cut through the wind a lot better. But any helmet is going to do, and they don't really vary in terms of safety. They're all safe as long as they're legitimate helmets, but they just vary basically on weight and aerodynamics and ventilation and things like that. So any helmet is going to do. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, that is cool, but make sure you have a helmet. All right, so you got your bike, you got your helmet, then you're going to need a track pump. So a pump like this, just put it on the floor. It's got a little gauge on it. You can look at your tire pressure. Very important. I check and pump my tires before every single ride because you just never know. You know, your tubes can go flat overnight. Always check and pump your tires before every ride. You want around 100 to 110 psi, but it's going to vary between how much you weigh and how the conditions are on the road. All right, so next thing you want to make sure you have are some spare tubes. So if you're running clincher tires, which most bikes these days come stock with clincher tires, which just means that this rubber tube is going to be underneath the tire, right between the rim and the tire, to kind of inflate and keep your tires pumped. So you're going to want a spare tube in case the tube you have equipped on your wheels goes flat, so you can just pull over on the side of the road and switch it up. So I carry at least one of these and maybe two sometimes, and a good thing to have is like a saddlebag. There's all kinds of saddlebags out there on the market, like really big ones. There's smaller and more compact ones like this one. This just carries one inner tube, and that's basically it. It's very simple, but there's all kinds of saddlebags, so if you can carry two, that's fantastic. And you also want to invest in like a mini pump like this or a CO2 can. That way you can fill up your tires. The CO2 thing you're going to have to refill once you use it, obviously, but this little mini pump is kind of nice because you have a limited amounts of pumps and air you can use out of it, but the bad thing is it's going to take forever to use one of these to pump up your tires. So there's plus and minuses for both sides, and maybe some tire levers as well. So depending on your tire, if you have a really thick tire, it's going to be hard to get it off with just your hands. So just use some of these and be able to get your tires off in case you do have a flat. So when you pick up your bike from the shop, most likely it's not going to have any bottle cages, so definitely pick up some bottle cages. Pick yourself up some water bottles. Got to stay hydrated when you're out there riding your bike. Last thing you want is to be dehydrated, so pick up some water bottle cages and some water bottles. Stay hydrated. If you're thinking of doing any sorts of night riding, riding in the morning or when the sun's setting, make sure you invest in some bike lights. There's a bunch out there on the market like everything else, but there's usually rear specific lights that flash red, kind of like a standard car light, right? And then you have your white light for the front, and there's different modes. Probably giving you guys a seizure right about now. There's all kinds of lights, so it's definitely one of the biggest reasons why cyclists get hit is because they're not seen. So having lights like these is definitely essential for not getting run over by a car. You want to be seen when you're riding out in the dark. So if you're doing any dark riding, make sure you pick up some bicycle lights. So as weird as cycling kits may seem to you at first, they're super essential for keeping you comfortable on the bike. I've reviewed a bunch here on the channel before, all sorts of different types of cycling kits. But basically what you're going to have is you're going to have a tight fitting jersey. You can stick food in your back pocket or a mini pump or something like that, so it's also really convenient using them. You're going to have cycling shorts or bibs with a padding inside that's going to keep you nice and comfortable when you're sitting on the saddle for long periods of times. And you're going to have gloves with paddings, and they're going to keep the pressure low when you're holding your handlebars. And just very thin socks that kind of keep the moisture away and keep you cool. So that's a basic kit, and I personally cannot ride without a cycling kit for long periods of time, but it's definitely going to help if you're thinking of getting serious about cycling and just riding for long periods of time. Also, to complete the kit, you want to get some nice cycling glasses. Not only do these make you look really fresh, but they also keep any sorts of bugs and debris out of your eyes. I can't tell you how many times not using these I've gotten sand and like debris in my eye, and I'm just trying to get it out while I'm riding in like a Peloton, trying not to crash. It's super dangerous. You want to keep your eyes protected, and it's nice to keep the sun out of your eyes as well. It doesn't even have to be sporty cycling glasses. It can be any types of sunglasses, but I definitely recommend riding with sunglasses. So you guys may feel really nervous touching anything on your bike because you probably don't know what you're doing, but once you get more experience, you're going to know how to make different adjustments on your bike, such as moving your saddle up and down and switching out a stem or something like that. But I personally think it's an essential tool having like some Allen keys around, and this is a nice little set with different sorts of Allen keys because not all bolts are going to be the same size. So having one of these is great, but before you go tightening your components on your bike with these, you're definitely going to want to invest in a torque wrench. What these do is they let you tighten bolts to specific torques so you don't go cracking different components, especially carbon fiber, which cracks very easily if you tighten it too far. So you want to invest in these. There's different kinds. There's ones that have a sort of like a meter so that you can monitor how tight you're tightening things, or they have ones that are already set to specific torque. So this one is specifically set to 5 Newton meters. So I can tighten this all the way until it hits 5 Newton meters, and then it stops. It won't let me tighten it any further. And I think most components these days are around 5 Newton meters. So this is a safe torque range, but you definitely want to double check with your mechanic, with your manual. You don't want to over tighten components and have them crack on you. So while we're on the topic of maintenance, having a good lube around is definitely important. You want to keep your chain lubed up so that way your drivetrain runs really smoothly. So the two main differences you're going to see in terms of lubes are wet lubes and dry lubes. Now, inside the bottle, they're both going to look exactly the same. They're both going to be in a liquid state, but once you put it on the chain, the liquid is going to stay pretty liquidy, but the dry is going to dry up more like a wax consistency. If you're in really wet conditions, you want to invest in a wet lube. However, if you live in dry conditions and you don't really need to worry about the rain, you're going to use a dry lube, and that's going to keep your chain nice and clean. It's not going to attract as much dirt. I personally love using a dry lube, and you do have to use it a bit more. I tend to lube the chain maybe every 50 miles or so, but it's great because my lube stays nice and dry. So this is a really good one. I've been using Squirt lately, and I really love it. There's a ton out there on the market. There's even a lot of biodegradable lubes these days, which is fantastic because we're not polluting the earth with all sorts of toxins. But having a good lube around is definitely important. So invest in a wet or dry one, or both, depending on the conditions that you're going to be riding in. And also get some good microfiber towels so that way you dry your chain right before you lube it. So you clean it off first, Then you put lube on every single chain link on your chain, let it sit for a couple minutes, wipe off the excess, you're good to go. So that fresh looking bike is not going to stay so fresh looking if you don't take care of it. You want to clean your bike regularly. Now you don't have to use water on your bike. I actually don't recommend that you use a hose or water to clean off your bike. I know many pro mechanics do that, but you just risk of just washing out your grease, getting water inside cracks that you don't want. So I personally use solutions that don't require water. There's some good stuff from Pedro's. One called Green Fizz and one called Bike Lust. This one is just for a little bit of a deeper cleaning. This adds a nice polish to your bike. But I mean, whatever works for you. I definitely recommend just squirting some on a microfiber towel and wiping your frame with it and drying it off afterwards. That's all you need, and it keeps your bike looking brand new, just like you got it from the shop. So definitely wipe off all the dirt, all the sweat, all the grease that gets on your bike throughout the week, maybe once a week, and just spend some time cleaning off your bike. So I would definitely argue that all those things are essential for keeping you out on the road and maintaining your bike properly. But there's some other things that I'd recommend that some people may call them essential, some may not. I don't think they are essential in the sense that you can't ride without them or your bikes are going to fall apart without them, but I definitely think that they can help and make you ride a lot more efficiently. What I'm talking about are cycling shoes and clip-in pedals. How this works is there's a cleat on the bottom of the shoe that lets you clip in to the pedals, and by doing this you not only get power on the way down on the pedal stroke, but you also are able to pull up, which helps a ton, especially if you're climbing. Now they are a bit intimidating at first. You're like, dude, I'm clipped into the bike, how am I gonna get out? They are a bit intimidating, but the more you practice with them, the better you're gonna get with them, and you're gonna love them after that. You never wanna go back to just flat non-clip-in pedals. So generally what you're going to find is that on road pedals are going to give you a wider surface area, which are going to give you more power, and a mountain bike they're going to be smaller, but they may be two-sided, which is kind of nice for starting out, so you don't have to worry about which side you're clipping in, and you can just press down on the pedal without having to worry about it. I personally recommend road pedals because of that wider surface area, just to get more power out of it, but any will work. And I'll admit that I first started out with mountain bike clip-in pedals and shoes because they were a lot easier to clip in, as well as easier to walk around in, but definitely worth considering clip-in pedals and shoes. So the last thing I want to talk about are GPS cycling computers. These things are fantastic for keeping track of your progress, your data as you're cycling along. You're able to record your ride and upload it on online applications like Strava or Garmin Connect, and just a great way to keep track of your cycling adventures and seeing if you're getting better or not. Now these are really great because you can connect them to different types of sensors. You can connect them to heart rate monitors, just strap them on your chest. You can put power meters on your bike. These things do get kind of pricey, but they are fantastic for keeping track of your progress. So, you know, maybe it's not something that you're thinking of now investing in, but maybe something to keep in mind later down the road as you get better and as you start to plateau. And you know, if you want to get more technical or more serious with your cycling, definitely consider a GPS computer or different types of sensors. So there you go. Those are all my essential recommendations for beginner cyclists. I know you guys have some questions, so post them down below or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Bananiac. Happy to answer your guys' questions. And if you're looking to get into cycling, you don't have a bike yet, check out my video on how to get your first road bike. And if you guys have any video requests, you can post them down below as well. Give this video a like if you found it useful, and subscribe for more videos on cycling tips and the vegan lifestyle. Thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.